Well, it was a very unfair remark when you think about the fact that it means that everybody who didn't say anything is now under suspicion.
Well, Andrew, thank you so much for joining us. It is always an absolute pleasure to have you to join us and give us your insight. And of course, we are talking about the re-release of your book. So what made you want to kind of, add some more chapters to this and some more information? And what are people going to learn?
Well, I mean, when you do a paperback based on a hardback, you do about 500 words and then that's it. This was 30,000 words, because when you look at it, everything that's happened has happened since the wedding. So I left her poised to walk down the aisle, and then I picked up the story with her walking down the aisle without her father and with Prince Charles. So in a way, it's taken the narrative of her life from before she married Prince Harry to today, now in a palace in Montecito in California.
Crazy.
Wow.
So much.
I mean, I have to say, it's been an astonishing journey, and I don't think anybody would have predicted the outcome of what's happened over the last 3 years.
Right. So how has your opinion of Meghan changed over the past few years, if at all?
Well, I think that I thought that she was a team player before, and she was known as a team player on Suits. And when she joined the royal family, she made every effort to get involved. She converted to Church of England. She changed her nationality and was going to become a Brit. And she gave up all her social media accounts, dropped the fact that she was patron of various charities, and she seemed to be, willing to be integrated into the royal family. I think that what's happened is that it is a small tragedy for the royal family that they've lost someone who was relevant to a section of the population that they couldn't really reach. So I think what's happened, so she and Harry have shown that they're not prepared to accept what is put in front of them, make their own way.
Yeah. Do you think, like you said, that, it's a tragedy that the royal family lost Meghan? I mean, do you think if they responded to her cries for help, that things would be a lot different?
Well, I mean, certainly the mental cries for help, I think have got nothing to do with the royal family. I think that's due to the fact that she was pregnant. These things come about during pregnancy. I'm not a medical expert on this, but certainly the fact that Harry was unaware of it, and it was a very private thing. Why should the rest of the royal family? It should be something that a doctor or a psychotherapist or a psychiatrist would help.
Mm-hmm. So you go into a lot of detail about their big tell-all interview in the book. What was your initial reaction to this interview when you saw it?
Well, I was watching the interview in this room with a German and a British TV crew. And I have to say, some of the revelations were jaw-dropping. First of all, the medical side of it, the fact that she felt suicidal, and that was very moving, I thought, at the time. And then also just the comparison with Diana. I mean, here was a girl who she says that she was lost and lonely, and she felt something of a prisoner of the palace. Her passport was taken away, her keys. Didn't really jive as well, because she'd gone on private planes to New York, to Ibiza, to France, south of France. So, where you need a passport. So there was a kind of an incongruity there as well. But it was initially, I thought, a jaw-dropping interview, and certainly the most overt attack on the monarchy by a prince of the realm ever. Because to say that, your brother, future king, is trapped, to say that your father, future king, is trapped, doesn't show much confidence in the institution from which you're sprung.
Yeah. I mean, like you mentioned, you kind of bring up a lot of those contradictions that happen between Harry and Meghan's actions and what they said in the interview. In your opinion, I mean, besides the passport, what kind of stood out the most to you?
Well, I mean, the most obvious thing was that saying that, we got married 3 days before the wedding. When actually they read out each other's vows or read out each other's pieces of poetry and so on that they've got stuck on the walls of their home in Montecito. But that kind of conversation and aspect of the interview made you question other aspects. If they can't get the date of the wedding right, then what else can't they get right?
Right. It seems like Meghan started to see cracks in the way the royals were treating her after the palace responded to some stories and not others. So can you give us any insight into how the palace decides which stories to respond to?
Yeah, I have to say, I've been doing this game for a number of years, and I had to smile. I could almost see the head of press at the palace kind of wearily explaining to Meghan, if we deny one story, we've got to deny them all, so we don't deny any. And it's the mantra that they've articulated for as long as I've been writing about the royal family. But Meghan had that conflict with Kate over the bridesmaids and the tights and bare legs and so on. And Meghan said that it was Kate who made her cry, and whereas the story was that Meghan made Kate cry. And I think that the fact that the palace didn't deny that story really, really, really rankled with her. And it set her on the road of thinking, the palace aren't helping me, so I'll get my friends to help me. And the result was the article in People magazine, 5 of her friends anonymously talking about, that she was the nearest thing to Joan of Arc, and also talking about the letter that she'd written to her father. Now, that set off another time bomb, which was her father giving the letter to a Sunday newspaper, British Sunday newspaper, and then publishing it. And that set off another time bomb, which was the legal suit that Meghan took out against this tabloid. And it all stemmed, it seems to me, from her irritation with the way that she was being treated by the palace in terms of denying stories, because image is very big as far as she's concerned, as also as far as members of the royal family are concerned.
Yeah. Do you feel like the palace should have put those Kate Meghan rumors to rest?
Well, the problem is that they would have been then confirming that Kate made Meghan cry. I mean, and how do they? Who really knows who's right in it? I mean, it was not going to redound well on anybody. So it's probably the best thing to do was just to draw a line under it and move on. But it did demonstrate to me how sensitive Meghan was towards her image. And, the old motto, never complain, never explain, is a good one. Because what I think she failed to realise is that the monarchy and being a part of the royal family is not a sprint. It's not hitting the ground running and then keeping on running. It's a marathon. It's pacing yourself. And I think that one of the issues that she faced was that she wanted to control everything and at speed, and wasn't prepared to let anything just lie.
There were some discrepancies between the coverage around whether they wanted Prince Charles to give Archie a title or not, and whether that had anything to do with security. What is the truth behind that?
Well, I mean, before Archie was born, they made it perfectly clear that they didn't want a title for him, because they would, for him or her, because let the child decide whether they want a title or not. And there was this. Then we get into the whole business of whether or not a member of the royal family talked about the colour of the skin of Archie, and whether that was graduated. The darker the skin, the less the protection, and the less likely of getting a title. There was, as they both were well aware of, no chance of getting a title until Prince Charles takes over, because they're only given the title Prince or Princess if you're the son or grandson of the reigning sovereign, and Archie was the great grandson of the reigning sovereign. He could have taken the title the Earl of Dumbarton, which is an honorary title, but they decided against that because they felt that the word dumb in the word Dumbarton would have been used as mockery when Archie went to school. And again, it shows you their sensitivity to image, which is something which, somebody was saying to me the other day that they contacted Team Sussex, and the first question they asked was, "What pictures are you using?" So, and that person thought, that's everything you need to know about the Sussexes.
Yeah. Do you, kind of jumping off that, do you see a difference in Harry now that he is in California and kind of, rubbing elbows with these celebrities and being very picky choosy about, the projects that they do? Have this Netflix deal, this Spotify deal? Do you think that they're
they are now on a global stage known for their first names. You don't really think of them as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex anymore. You think about them as Meghan and Harry. They have got a prodigious address book, which is probably half the reason why Netflix and Spotify signed them up. I think that as far as they're concerned, they're going to have to learn very quickly how to be TV producers and learn how to pick the next Squid Game.
Totally.
So really, they've got themselves a beautiful palace with 16 bathrooms, probably more than the Queen has. A garden that Prince Charles would be envious of. So they're leading a very opulent life, and they have a path laid down for them by the Obamas, who have been very successful so far as TV producers. One of their offerings won an Emmy, and I think that they would like to go down that road.
Yeah.
Did you find it surprising that after it seemed like they didn't want anything to do with the royal family anymore, they named their daughter after the Queen?
Well, I don't think that Harry and Meghan are kind of revolutionaries. They're not trying to destroy the monarchy. They've complained about aspects of the administration, the way things are organised, but they've not. They've made it perfectly clear in every interview that they have got great respect and admiration for the Queen. Harry's kept in touch with the Queen by telephone and by Zoom, and by calling their daughter Lilibet or Lily, they've shown that they, still want to be under the umbrella of the monarchy.
Do you think it's fair, though, to want to have it both ways? Or do you think that this was just like a way to maybe extend an olive branch?
Well, I think it just shows that they don't want to destroy the monarchy. They don't want to destroy the Queen's legacy. They are critical of the system, but they accept the basic premise of the organisation. They believe in the monarchy, but not the current system. And I think you're going to get more criticism of Prince Charles and maybe a bit more of William when Harry brings his own book out.
Yeah.
Do you think that he's going to reveal who made that comment about Archie in the book?
Well, it was a very unfair remark when you think about the fact that it means that everybody who didn't say anything is now under suspicion. And he did exonerate the Queen and Prince Philip, but other members of the royal family were not exonerated. And also, given the somewhat tangential relationship that they've had with the truth, you wonder how accurate that report was. As the Queen herself said, memories may vary of that. So, given the fact they couldn't get the wedding date right, you've got to look at everything else they say with a degree of skepticism.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think we haven't seen?
One of the things that I discovered, speaking to Hollywood insiders, they've made it clear to me that Harry was the one who made the running to go to Hollywood, not Meghan.